Coming up on this episode of the Hockey Nuts, Steve and I get you caught up with all the action in round one of the NHL Playoffs. We'll break it down series by series. We will also make our predictions of who will win the individual awards before the finalists are named in the next several days. We'll also discuss all of the other headlines of the week in a busy week of action around the hockey world. We'll have all the details, plus the KHL Playoff Minute and our picks of the week coming up next. This is the Hockey Nuts Podcast, Season 1, Episode 36, recorded on Wednesday, April 19th, 2017. NHL Playoff Recap, Round 1, Games 1 through 4.
Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hockey Nuts Podcast. This is episode 36. I'm here with Steve. My name is Wayne. How's it going tonight, Steve?
It's going great, Wayne. Going great. Good to be with you.
We've had about a week of playoff action under our belts now, so we've got a lot to talk about concerning all of the games that have been going on around the league. And there's been a few surprises. So we've got to, there's some big upsets brewing, so we've got to talk about that, of course. And, of course, we're going to get you caught up with all 8 series and get everybody in the know on what's going on and what our thoughts are and what our observations are. We're also going to give everybody our postseason predictions on all of the major NHL awards that are going to be handed out here actually happens right after the season ends. And we have a new playoff celebrity, Dart Guy. And I'm going to talk about him later on in the show. I don't know if you saw that, the pictures on him.
Yeah, I saw pictures of Dart Guy.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing your take on him.
Yeah. And then also, I've got a few rants this week. Steve's got some rants. I've got some rants. So stay tuned for that. But before we get going, I want to remind everybody where you can find us. Obviously, if you're listening to us now, you found us. But some of the places that we are located, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Play Music, Player.fm. And, of course, any Android or Apple app that handles podcasts, you can find us there. You can listen to us right on our website at thehockeynuts.com. You can listen to us at thehockeywriters.com, right on their website. And you just go to the podcast channel on their website. But they also have a number of very good articles written by members of the press and fans alike. So that's a great site there. And if you want to support the show, there's many different ways you can support the show. First and foremost, you can share the show with everybody that you know that's a hockey fan. And if you have the iTunes app on your computer or device, subscribe or give us a rating and review on iTunes. That will help us rise the rankings there, give us more exposure. You can like, comment, and share our content wherever you find it on various social media pages. And if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen some interesting stuff coming from me over the past week. You probably got, and that'll clue you in on what my rant might be about tonight. And also, we invite you to get involved with the show. You can email us at feedback@thehockeynuts.com. You can leave us a voicemail at 919-960-1718. And any emails, phone calls, and such that you give us. Generally, we respond fairly as quick as we can, but and sometimes we do include some of that content into the show. You can reach us on our Facebook page. We're at facebook.com/thehockeynuts, and we have a YouTube channel at YouTube. Thehockeynuts.com/YouTube is a shortcut to get to that. And of course, we record the show live each week, and we stream it on our Facebook page. And then after the fact, we upload it to our YouTube page as well. If you want to financially support the show, there is a way for you to do that for us. If you will go over to thehockeynuts.com and click on the affiliate links that we have on the right side of the page. Right now we have 2 affiliates set up. One is at Amazon.com, He owns HockeyMonkey.com. Of course, Hockey Monkey, if you're a hockey player, you know what they're all about. And Amazon.com, well, everybody knows what Amazon is. If you just click on those links, it'll send you right to those websites, and any purchases you make after that for a limited time, a little portion of your purchase goes back to us, and we use that money to help pay for the production of this podcast, because obviously it's not free for us to do, but we do love doing it. We're going to do it anyway, but any support we can get from you is great. And of course, any purchases you make using our affiliate links, we're not going to cost you anything extra. Just they give a portion of the sale back to us as thanks for using their affiliate links. So, all right. Well, now we're through with that. Let's get going on the news of the week. And because we're in the playoffs, the way we're going to do it pretty much from here on out until the playoffs are over is we're just going to go through series by series and just talk about all the different series one by one. And the first series we're going to start with this week is Canadiens versus Rangers.
He couldn't connect. At the line, knocked down by McDonough. Ryan McDonough holds. Throws that towards the goal. Tip right on. Rebound. Score! Rick Nash gives the Rangers the lead right back.
Yes.
And we are through 4 games of that series. Game 1 was back on Wednesday the 12th, and the Rangers won that game 2-0. Game 2 was on Friday the 14th. Montreal won that game 4-3 in overtime. That tied the series at 1-1. Game 3 was on Sunday the 16th, and Montreal won that one 3-1, taking the 2-1 lead in the series. And then on Tuesday the 18th, was last night, because we're recording this on Wednesday, the Rangers won that game in a squeaker 2-1. So the series is now tied 2-2. The next game, Game 5, is on Thursday night at Montreal at 7 p.m. First and foremost, the Rangers are your team, Steve, so let's hear your thoughts.
Well, that's kind of you, Wayne. Well, we could be in better situation than we are right now, and we certainly could be in a worse situation than we are right now. So I reach out to Rangers fans right now. I'm thankful for 2 wins, and it's 2-2. We have as Derek Stepan said last night, we got a best-of-3 series now, and that's how focus on it 1 game at a time. But if I look back at Game 1, I thought Henrik played a great game. In fact, Game 1 and Game 2, Henrik Lundqvist.
He pretty much stole Game 1.
He really did.
Yep.
He played that. He was the player of the game, and of course got the shutout. Game 2, he had 54 saves.
Yep. Yeah. Montreal.
I might set a record for him, but it was up there as one of the top save performances of all time for him. So he played a tremendous game. You and I discussed it. That game, it is a war. The Montreal-New York series is a war. Hits at an unbelievable number for each team.
Yep.
The Rangers are to the tune of 80 and 90 hits a game. Okay, that's a fact.
Yep.
So and the Canadiens just as punishing. So this series is definitely about. It's not about out skating and out. It is about punishing your opponent and wearing them down to the point where you can win a game. That's really what it's about.
Yep.
Game 2, Montreal could have won that game in regulation. We could have won that game in regulation. It was a back and forth, and it was an evenly fought game. The only comment I want to make about was a case could be made that Tomas Plekanec did interfere with Henrik on the goal that tied the game up with 17 seconds to go. And that being the case, it wasn't reviewed, it wasn't looked at, nothing was done about it. The Rangers, I don't believe, could review that play. And so they wound up tying the game and winning it in overtime on Radulov's goal. But that started a bad taste in my mouth about Montreal. It really did.
That one got a little ugly later there. There was a lot of
commotion, a lot of guys going in the penalty box.
Yep.
Matt Zuccarello has taken a lot of penalties in this series because I believe he truly hates Steve Ott, and I can actually support him wholeheartedly on that, as I've grown to hate the man too.
Yeah.
But on the ice. But anyways, the game 3, the Rangers didn't even show up. It was a lackluster game. They didn't even, Montreal deserved to win that game 3-1, and we just played terrible. Just a sloppy game, a lot of turnovers, and you cannot make turnovers against that team. You're going to get burned.
Yep.
They will eventually score on you, if not right off the bat. And then last night's game, which you and I talked about, I don't want to rant and rave too much because we won the game. But the goal that they scored, they had 6 players on the ice, and even the guys on NBC News were reviewing it. It wasn't even close. The 6th player was 7, 8, maybe 10 feet off the bench.
Oh, wow.
And he celebrated like crazy when they scored the goal to tie the game. Don't know who that player was, but it wasn't even close. They shouldn't have scored a goal in that game. And we should have scored a goal that was taken away from us. So, and again, it was a very poorly officiated game, Wayne. They did let a lot of calls go each way. But again, I just feel like they could curtail some of this stuff that's happening. And especially when you have 6 guys on the ice. That one was clear. And Vigneault was livid. When he came out of the locker room, he was furious, but it happened right before the end of the second period. So, anyways, neither here nor there. We won. It's tied up, and I can move on. We win. I'd want to win the next 2 games. I don't want this thing going Game 7. I really don't. So,
well, I got a strange feeling that it probably will.
I have a feeling it will too.
Because this. Yeah, my observation of this series, obviously not having a dog in the fight, although my hatred towards the Canadian makes me lean towards the Rangers, but this has definitely been so far a goaltender series. Both teams are having having a hard time scoring goals, and the goaltenders are stealing the show. I mean, you look at it, you see. The 4-3 is by far the 4-3 game in Game 2 is by far the highest scoring game of the series. But the other 3 games, you have a grand total of 9 goals in those 3 games combined between the 2 teams.
Right.
For Game 1, 3, and 4 combined. So scoring goals is very difficult for this group of these 2 teams. So. It's a good series. It's been entertaining. And I mean, the hatred started coming out in Game 2 between the 2 teams.
Right. And I can see, Wayne, why Montreal has gone to drafting these players. You can really say they're all in with what they did on the trade deadline day.
Yep.
It has really changed their team. And more so than anything else right now, although Max Pacioretty scores a lot of goals for them, they center that team around Shea Weber. They really do.
Yeah,
he is the force and the face of the team, if you want to say that he's the electrical outlet for the team.
Yeah,
and they really, that team is built to be a totally different team than they were when PK Subban was there.
Yep.
They are a fighting, grinded out, get in your face team now, and they have the bodies to back it up. And so the Rangers are in for these last 3 games. I hope you guys, hockey fans out there, watch these games. This series is one of the best ones that's got going here in the first 8 matchups. So,
yep, yeah, this one's going the distance in my mind. It really is. I hate to say it because it's gonna drive you. You're gonna have a heart attack by the end of this series. But
yeah.
But I got a feeling this one's going the distance.
Yep.
All right. Well, unless you got anything else to add, let's go ahead and move on to the next series.
Yes, sir.
Which is the Senators versus Bruins.
Taps the backhand over to Marchand. Marchand holds, finds Pasternak to Bergeron. Blocked up and up. The shot. Marchand scores. The Bruins lead with 2:33 to go. Boston is ahead in Game 1.
They have played 3 games in this series. Game 4 is tonight. In fact, it's probably going to start before we even get done recording this podcast. So we're in a bit of a rush to get the podcast done so we can go watch that game. But game 1 was back on Wednesday, the 12th, and Boston won that game 2-1 in Ottawa. Game 2 was Saturday, the 15th, also in Ottawa, and Ottawa won that game 4-3 in overtime, tying the series 1-1. And then game 3 was on Monday night on the 17th. That was the first game in Boston. And Ottawa also won that game 4-3 in overtime. So the Senators now have a 2-1 lead. And game 4 is once again tonight, the 19th at 7:30 Eastern. That is also in Boston. And without a doubt, game 4 is going to be a must-win for Boston. But if you know any Bruins fans out there, you probably know pretty much what I've got to rant about tonight, and that is the officiating.
Yeah.
Kind of like you alluded to in that other series, you weren't happy with the officiating in that last game. The Bruins got screwed by the refs in that game 3, especially. I haven't been too particularly happy with the officiating in games 1 and 2 either, but in game 3 it got really ugly. And I started noticing it in the second period. And if you follow me either on Facebook or Twitter, you saw how unhappy I was with the refereeing in that game, because I was absolutely livid from about the second period on in that game, because time after time after time the Bruins were getting screwed by the refs. Non-calls against Ottawa players, ticky-tack calls against Boston players. There were at least 3 different times that I'm aware of, including that one in overtime, that things happened between 2 players. Ottawa started something, and, like, for example, I think it was in the second period, there was one play where the puck came out of the Ottawa zone, and they showed it right on camera. Erik Karlsson had a Boston forward, and I can't remember who it was, pinned to the boards inside the zone. So the Bruins couldn't come back in because he was literally holding him against the boards. The Boston player was trying to fight through it to get out, and referee blows the whistle. They take them both.
Unbelievable.
And the Boston player was just trying to get out of the zone so the Bruins could come back in, but Erik Karlsson had him pinned right against. And then there was another play later on where it was Schaller with the Bruins, and I can't remember the Ottawa player he was battling with. They were battling somewhere in near neutral zone, and of course Schaller's yapping away at the Ottawa player, but the Ottawa player take 2 different punches right to Schaller. And Schaller never once threw a punch. He ran his mouth a lot, but never once threw a punch, and they took them both.
Yeah.
And then, of course, everybody knows what happens in overtime. Bobby Ryan elbows. I'm so mad. I can't even remember who the Boston player was that got the penalty. It was Nash. Bobby Ryan elbows Nash. Nash retaliates with a chop to the chin of Bobby Ryan. Of course, the referees called just Nash for the penalty, and then the Ottawa Senators on that power play came in and scored to win the game. So it was happening all night long. It was ridiculous. It felt how one-sided the refereeing was, and I can guarantee you, the Boston fans in the building were pissed off about it, because they were hollering, even after the game-winning goal was scored, you can hear them chanting, BS, BS, you could hear them chanting it. And I heard it throughout the whole game as well. And, of course, all over Twitter, everybody was livid about that game. So, I can take it if Boston's going to lose a game because of what they do, because they just sucked, right?
Yeah.
That's fine, great.
Right.
But to have it taken from them because of shoddy officiating is just maddening as hell. So, all I want to see from the rest of this series is unbiased, fair officiating where they call things both ways. Now, the whole thing with this, non-calls for this, non-calls for that, I've been noticing that around the league throughout all the games.
I think you're right.
They're letting a lot more go.
Yes.
Stuff that they normally call in the regular season is not being called in the playoffs.
I agree.
I get it, but call it the same for both teams. Call it evenly.
Right.
And in Game 3, it was not even by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
So that's the end. That's the end of my officiating rant. But I'm just hoping that it's a little better tonight. Let's get some American officials in here. I tweeted out that the two officials in Game 3, I didn't look back and see who the rest were in Game 1 and 2, but we had a guy from Toronto and a guy from Trois-Rivières, Quebec, which is, I believe it's somewhere between Montreal and Ottawa. So, two guys out of Canada, more than likely grew up either Leafs fan or Canadiens fans. Both fan bases hate the Bruins.
Yeah.
So, their job is to be unfair. And I'm sure that in their mind their job is to be fair. And in their mind, I'm sure they thought they were fair, but they clearly blew that call in overtime.
Right.
And it cost Boston the game. So let's just, if anybody in the NHL is listening, and I doubt they are, but let's just have fair officiating from here on out. Come on,
Wayne. I had a quick question.
Let the teams decide it on the ice.
I hear you. What do you think about the play of Charlie McAvoy?
Oh my God, he's been a godsend.
Really, really playing well.
Because one thing and it may cost Boston this series, is those injuries.
Yeah.
To lose 4 defensemen like that.
Torrey Krug, my God.
You got Krug, who's hurt. You've got Colin Miller, who's hurt. McQuaid is hurt, and the fourth guy is escaping me now. Colin Miller, McQuaid, Torrey Krug, and why am I Brandon Carlo, rookie.
Yeah.
These are 4 guys who have been. These aren't minor league bounce up and bounce down players that the Bruins have lost here. This is 4 of your top 6 defensemen. You've got, and I'm pulling up the stats right now. You've got, and of course, David Krejci's been hurt too. He came back in Game 3. But it clearly took him a good period and a half, 2 periods to get back into things. He didn't really start playing well until the 3rd period. So obviously he's trying to get back in the swing of things. Yeah. But you've got Brandon Carlo, who played all 82 games for Boston this year. Colin Miller, who played 61, but he had some injury issues earlier in the year. So he's a regular. Adam McQuaid played 77 games for the Bruins. And the other guy who was hurt, where is he? Carlo, Miller, McQuaid, Torrey Krug, where is he? There he is, 81 games. These are key guys, and Torrey Krug is the quarterback of the power play.
Yeah, and he destroyed the Rangers in the last time we played the Bruins in the series. So, you're hurting without those guys. But I think Charlie McAvoy has played so well, and Wayne. It really might be the Bruins had no choice, and yes, they're burning a year, but they really had no choice. They had to have McAvoy in this series.
They had to sign him. He was the best available player they had, not currently on the roster. Losing those 4 guys, and of course, at the time they signed him, they had already lost Krug and I'm trying to think of the order of which ones got hurt. Krug and Carlo were both hurt, I believe. They were the first 2 that got hurt, and then they got hurt right the last of the end of the season, and then McQuaid and Miller got hurt in the first 2 games of the series. Now, I am hearing this afternoon that Miller's going to play tonight. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
They're getting one of those 4 back, but you're still missing the other 3. Yeah. And quite frankly, if I had to choose, if I choose 1 out of 4 to get back tonight, it certainly wouldn't have been Miller. He wouldn't have been my top choice. So.
And I had one other point I wanted to make real quick about this series.
Yeah.
And it's not a Bruins point, but I have been literally amazed again at the play of Erik Karlsson. He is a tremendous passer of the puck.
Yep.
It's almost like he feels it in his hands. And he's just a tremendous player. He is their best player. There's no question about it.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
You and I talked about it over the weekend. Whatever happened to Danny Heatley? Remember Danny Heatley scored all these goals for Ottawa, and then he was gone.
Yep.
I think he played with he was with Minnesota for a little bit there and somebody else. And now he's down in the AHL, right?
He didn't play at all this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Erik Karlsson is just a tremendous player and can score goals. But without him, man, Ottawa, forget it. They'd be out of this series.
Yeah.
Just a great player.
And without a doubt. And it's evident on the ice, too, because when he gets the puck, he had 1 goal there where he basically carried the play over the line, circled, and he literally sucked at least 3 Bruins to him to a point where he was able to pass the puck to a wide open guy who scored a goal.
Oh, yeah. And how about that pass he made? He elevated the puck good 2/3 the way down the ice, right on the guy's stick.
Oh, the breakaway goal, yeah, in the
Just
last game, yeah.
incredible. And to have that kind of touch for a defenseman.
Yeah, and they keep saying, well, he's hurt. He's playing hurt. But man, it doesn't show. And if that's him playing hurt, and I know he's good. I've seen him play before, but he's really stepped it up here in the playoffs. If he's playing hurt, I'd hate to see him healthy. I mean, God.
Yeah, tremendous player.
Tremendous player. He's a guy that the Bruins really need to key in on shutting down. So speaking of shutting down and my nice transitions here, we've got the next series we're going to talk about is the Caps and the Leafs.
Niskanen got position, but Bozak got the puck. Back to the blue line. Here's Riley. Passes off. Has him Kadri to the front of the net. They score! Tyler Bozak with a tip-in. And Toronto has the series lead.
And boy, that is some kind of series too, isn't it, Wayne? That gets me. That I got an immediate charge when you said that.
Yeah, yeah. This has been a fun series to watch. Obviously, nobody, and I mean nobody, not even their own fans, were giving Toronto a chance to beat Washington in this series. But here we do find the series 3 games over. Game 1, Washington wins 3-2 in overtime. Game 2, on Saturday, April 15th, Toronto wins that game 4-3 in overtime, tying the series. That was actually double overtime in that game. Game 3 goes to overtime again. Toronto steals the game 4-3 in overtime. So now the Maple Leafs are sitting with a 2-1 lead. Game 4 is tonight in Toronto. So Toronto could come out. If they win this game at home, they could come out with a 3-1 series lead.
And the frickin' Colombian necktie is going to be around Washington's neck if that happens.
I think it already is.
I think Washington is feeling pressure beyond anything you and I have experienced in our life.
Yep.
And I think Alex Ovechkin especially is experiencing a lot of pressure right now because the complete diametric opposite of that is I don't think Toronto has the slightest bit of pressure.
No, they're playing.
I think they could lose this series and they'd be considered having a great year. You know, Mike Babcock would be saluted. I mean, they have no pressure at all.
No, they're playing with house money for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I couldn't have said any better, Wayne.
Yep, they are playing with house money. So, and it took a little while for Austin Matthews to get going, but he's going now. I mean, it's been a fun game. All 3 overtime games. All 3 games went to overtime. It's been a great series to watch. It really has. And I'm almost sad that their games seem to always be on the same time as the Bruins because I can't, watch start to finish the Toronto-Washington series, but I do catch all the highlights and I try to watch the replays anyway. But of course we're following our buddy up there, Steve Dangle, who's been putting out some great content with the, in the Toronto perspective, definitely. Yeah. He's got that city fired up for this. But one of the amazing things, and I knew it was going to happen, but have you seen the crowds that they've got set up outside the Air Canada Center?
Yeah. They that place is literally. They set up the jumbotrons and they've got seas of fans. It is Toronto is you and I have said it more than one podcast. They have more fans than any other team. I'm convinced of it in the NHL. You want to talk about the most fans? They're the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Yankees of the NHL. They have more fans than anybody.
Yep, they do.
And, so when they get going.
Yep.
You're going to have a very hard job beating them, and it's getting very close now. Yep. Washington has to be feeling the pressure.
Yep.
So.
Yep. They certainly are. I mean, they've been, and I think that's what it's come down to. And of course, now that the Maple Leafs took the 2-1 lead, 2 overtime games lost. I know the Caps fans out there are going, oh, here we go again. Here we go again.
Yeah. Well, listen.
So
they lose in the first round this year, Wayne. They I think we're going to see wholesale changes with that team.
Yep.
I don't think Washington is going to. I think there's going to be changes that are going to come down if they lose in the first round.
Yep.
Because the two-time President's Trophy winner and a 42-win goalie, and they get in the playoffs and just literally choke.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's my opinion.
Yep.
I could be dead wrong, but how many times have we seen this over the years now?
Oh,
that's why I say when we play Washington in the first round, I have a, I never am sitting here, oh, woe is me. Oh, my God, what are we going to do? I have a fighting chance down inside me,
But the thing is, there's very few common denominators between those old teams of the past and the current team. It doesn't seem to matter who's playing on the team they lose, because they brought in Shattenkirk, they brought in Oshie, they brought in all these guys, but they still continue, and Holtby's now developed into an elite goaltender, and he still can't stop it from happening. But I still say there's something wrong with Holtby, because there's been some you watch him closely. There's been some movements where you make a save and you get a little slow to get up, that kind of stuff. And I think there's something there. I think there's something wrong with Holtby, that he's not his normal self.
Well, you could be right. And then you and I talked about this before the show. There's been some bad moves in respect to Washington in terms of utilization of their assets. My understanding is in the last game, Alex Ovechkin only had 15 and a half minutes of ice time.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's very concerning. And, of course, people have been writing about it, too. And I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into, the deep details as to why that's happening. But, yeah, it is very concerning to see why he's playing. And I think I saw a quote out there where Coach Trotz has basically said, yeah, that's on me. We should have played him more. Well, man, you got him sitting in front of you on the bench. Why is he not out there? Yeah. Basically, he should be sending Ovechkin out there as soon as he's caught his breath after every shift. You ready? Yeah. If I'm the coach, I'm looking it over you. You ready yet? Okay.
Yeah.
You ready? Get out there. One of the biggest goal scorers in the league, in league history.
Yeah.
And he's only playing him 15 minutes. That's fourth line minutes. Well, it's not fourth line. It's more third line minutes, but still.
Yeah. Well, listen, Barry Trotz, if anything, he is a great poker face. Because I know he's feeling the pressure. He's got to be feeling the pressure right now.
Oh, yeah.
But he's doing a good job of shielding it from the team. I really think he does. And I think he is very good at as I said, a poker face. He knows how to dole out. Listen, Washington has been here before. This is not a new ground for them, new territory. They know what they're up against. They got a guy, Justin Williams, on their team. If he hasn't been through everything, winning the Stanley Cup with Los Angeles and the Carolina Hurricanes, he's seen it all.
Yep.
So they have the experience. They know what to do when it comes crunch time, and it is crunch time now.
Yep.
So it's going to be a great game tonight. I'm looking forward to that and the rest of this series. I don't know if it'll go 7. But it might.
Yeah, it may take 7 for Washington to knock them off. And then you watch, they'll roll through their next opponent. And a nice transition. The next opponent will be the winner of the next series that we got to talk about. And that is, of course, the Penguins and the Blue Jackets.
Plays it to the near side corner. Crosby arrives in behind the net. The Crosby line causing some problems here. Scores! Gensel! Goal number 3 is the game winner in Game 3.
Yep. And that series has completed 4 games. Game 1 went to Pittsburgh back on Wednesday the 12th. That was a 3-1 score. Game 2 was Friday the 14th. Also went to Pittsburgh 4-1. Game 3 back in Columbus also went to Pittsburgh 5-4 in overtime. And then Game 4 was last night, and Columbus came out with a gutsy 5-4 win. So now that series stands at 3-1.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts on that one?
Well, I'd be lying if I said I'm pulling for the Columbus Blue Jackets every game. But Pittsburgh is just Columbus would do themselves well if they would just play and
play like Toronto.
Play like Toronto.
With no
You
fear.
got nothing to lose.
Yep.
Had a great year. Your team was out of it after 10 games last year.
Yep.
In the season. Tortorella has brought them back from they were a terrible team. And now look at how they're playing. And Bobrovsky, he may be the Vezina winner this year.
Yep.
But they have a great team. And if they just looked at it as we got nothing to lose, we're playing against the defending Stanley Cup champions, the team that's going to have the pressure on them is Pittsburgh.
Yep.
It's never going to be us. Just go out there and play like Toronto.
Yep.
And I saw Nick Foligno do that fake fall the other night where he acted like he got, and it actually paid off. Where they called, and I can't remember who it was for the high stick, but there was no high stick ever involved in it. Mike Sullivan looked at the officials. That was Mike Sullivan's time to get pissed. But they don't need to do that. Columbus don't need to do that. They're look. They earned my respect and your respect this year as a great team. And so just go out there and play. Just go out there and have fun, enjoy it. There's no pressure whatsoever. And I got to say this because he's a former Ranger player, Wayne. Brandon Dubinsky can stick Sidney Crosby on the ice. And what he should do is get out there and just do that. He used to do it when he played with us.
Yep.
Just be in Sidney Crosby's jock and make him have to, and he's been doing a good job of it, but he needs to do it like the Brandon Dubinsky I know. Is just get right in Crosby's face every single time he's on the ice and really make Sidney have to work so hard just to pass the puck.
Yep.
Because he can do it. He has the passion down inside. He can't stand the guy, and just play like that,
Yep.
And I think those two things, if they just did that, I think you'd see the Blue Jackets triumphant in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And this series is the one of the four in the East that I really haven't paid a whole lot of attention to because I've even before the series started, I pretty much dismissed Columbus in this one because Pittsburgh is just. They're just that good, and I thought they'd roll over Columbus. Even though Columbus had a great year, they finished just behind Pittsburgh in the standings. Blue Jackets were one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the league. Never mind their own division.
Right.
Even though they finished 3rd in their division, they were still like top 5 or top 6 in the whole league because the Metro was so tough. So Columbus had a great year. And, of course, we knew that Columbus would only go as far as Sergei Bobrovsky is going to take them.
Right.
So, it's been a struggle for Columbus. And then you got the whole Sidney Crosby. In the playoffs, I can't stand watching Crosby because, he dives. He cries and, he's whining to the refs and constantly doing all these antics to try to, get calls from the refs. And he does get calls from the refs. That go his way. So it frustrates me to watch Pittsburgh and I've got a cousin of mine is a Pittsburgh fan, so him and I go back and forth a lot on that. So he knows how I feel about Pittsburgh. My hatred for them is almost as much as Montreal. Not quite, but they're such a good team. I just
they are.
Right from the start, I pretty much dismissed this series and focused on the other 3 in the East. So I really haven't watched a whole lot of it, but it's pretty much going as expected from what I can tell.
Yeah, I really like their coach. I like Mike Sullivan.
He's a former Bruins coach.
Yep, as well as an assistant with New York, and he's a great coach. And they do have a great team. And God, it does not matter who they pick when that's a banged up team. You know it.
Yep.
And they doesn't matter who they put on the ice. Gensel.
Well, they don't have injuries to keep people though. Crosby's been healthy. Malkin for the most part has been healthy.
Right.
You've got Kessel who's been a force in the playoffs.
Yep. And Fleury's played great. Fleury's played great in the series. So
Fleury's played pretty well so far. Yep.
So
So yeah, I mean it's a series. I was glad to see Columbus pull out a game, but I think the old adage in the NHL is the fourth win is always the hardest one to get because you're playing a team that's desperate and they're going to do everything they can to prevent that elimination. And Columbus did just that last night. They came out and just played desperate hockey and managed to pull out a win. But Game 5 is Thursday night in Pittsburgh, and I will be surprised if Pittsburgh doesn't close out the series. I'll be happy if they don't, if it goes to 6 game, but...
And let me tell you this, if it does go to 6 games, we might see a 7-game series there.
It could. It could very well happen.
I think Columbus is ready for them.
Yep.
But I really believe that Pittsburgh has the pressure on them, and it might not be nearly as elevated as it is on the Washington Capitals, but Pittsburgh has to win the game tomorrow night. They really do.
Yeah, I think you're right.
If they lose that game tomorrow night,
they're going to lose 6.
Go to 7, and they're going to, and then anything goes in Game 7. So. And that's, I don't know. I think they're going to win too. I think the Pittsburgh fans, they're going to win it. I'd be shocked if Pittsburgh loses that game tomorrow night. So, and I'll talk a little bit more about Pittsburgh when we talk about power rankings. So,
yeah.
But anyways.
Okay. Well, let's move out west then. And first series we're going to talk about is probably the one we thought would be ending quick, but not the way it's gone so far. Blackhawks Predators.
Yonko, Neal and Fiala tag up. Neal cuts to the middle. Off to Fiala. In front, score! Kevin Fiala! Overtime winner! Nashville Predators!
Literally shocking.
Yep. Game 1, Thursday, April 13th, Nashville wins the game 1-0. Game 2, Saturday, April 15th, Nashville won the game 5-0. Game 3, Chicago finally scores a goal on Monday, April 17th, but loses the game 3-2 in overtime. So now the Predators, and of course they haven't played Game 4 yet. Game 4 is Thursday night. At Nashville, and Predators have a 3-0 lead, and they can close out the series Thursday night at home. I'm going to be watching that game for sure. I was shocked when I saw after the second game that Nashville had won both games in Chicago.
Yeah, 5-0 too. I woke up the next morning and said, "You wouldn't believe what happened last night." My wife, "What? Did they catch the guy that did this?" She was thinking of the news. I said, "No, Chicago beat Nashville beat Chicago 5-0. Oh my God!"
And now they 2-0 series lead, and Nashville wins the overtime game last night, and not last night, Monday night. And I don't know if you saw any of the game. I saw some highlights of it, and I saw if you didn't see it, you've got to see it. What's her name? Carrie Underwood did the national anthem in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
Monday night, and it was amazing. It was a very, very good rendition. And she got the crowd so up in a frenzy doing that national anthem that I don't know if she knows or not, but she probably signed herself up for the national anthem from here on out until the Nashville Predators lose or get knocked out of the playoffs, because that's how hockey fans are.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Wayne. I missed that. So, and this is a series, I got to admit, I haven't watched one game. I haven't. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, I've watched bits and pieces of it and definitely highlights of it. And the Nashville fans are once again putting on a show out there in Nashville, proving that you can make hockey work in a southern market.
Yep.
I mean, Nashville is no bigger or smaller of a place than a place like Raleigh-Durham, for example. But and Nashville's like Raleigh-Durham, is that there's a lot of transplants in that area, people that aren't originally from that area. But they've been putting a good team on the ice for quite some time now, and they are fired up. They are loving it. The passionate fans, probably one of the loudest rinks in the league, without a doubt, and they're into it.
Yep. They are. No question about it.
And it's all about the product that's on the ice.
Yep.
So if you swap the teams, Nashville and Carolina, swap the cities, I guarantee you Raleigh, Durham would have that rabid fan base that Nashville has, and Nashville's fan base would be ho-hum like Raleigh's is right now. It's all about the product you put on the ice. But again, I didn't plan on ranting about that. But kudos to Nashville anyway
kudos to them.
For running up a 3-0 series lead on the Blackhawks. I couldn't be happier about it. I'm tired of seeing the Blackhawks winning Stanley Cups. I want that to stop, and Nashville looks like they've got the best chance, and let's just hope that they've got 4 tries at it, that they could finally knock out Chicago.
That will be a tough 4th win, but I think Nashville can do it. And whether or not they do it at home or in Chicago, it remains to be seen. But I think they will defeat the Blackhawks.
It is going to be hard, probably harder than any other team they've played, because Chicago does have a history of coming back.
They've come back from 3-0 too.
They've come back from 3-0. They've come back from 3-1 multiple times.
Yep.
So yeah, 3-0 is great, but folks in Nashville need to understand it's not over.
That's right.
It is far from over. So they need to come out. I totally expect Chicago to win Game 4 without a doubt.
And they'll be wild in Chicago, and in the Madhouse on Madison will be rocking.
And then Game 5, he goes back to Chicago. They win that one, and then all Chicago would have to do is steal Game 6, and then you're Game 7 in Chicago. Then Nashville's in trouble. So
I don't think they'd win a Game 7, Wayne. I just put it like that.
If it goes to Game 7, that game goes to Chicago for sure. So you're right. All right, let's move on to Wild Blues.
1:20 on the clock. Alex Pietrangelo for Jay Bouwmeester. He'll take a hit, make a play, try to get it out. They do. Berglund, a handoff for Steen. Empty net. There you go.
Yes.
Another series that's been a surprise, and at least in my mind.
Yeah. A team that I've been saying all year. Watch out for the Blues. The Blues. They got a good team. Then they traded away Kevin Shattenkirk, but here they are, man.
Yep.
And they are playing very, very well. And in fact, I think they will win this series, and they may sweep this series.
Yep. The Blues, as you just said, are ahead 3-0 now. Game 4 is Wednesday night. That's tonight at St. Louis. So we've got an elimination game to watch tonight. The first 3 games went as follows. Wednesday on the 12th, St. Louis won that game 2-1 in overtime. Game 2 went to St. Louis 2-1 in regulation. That was on Friday the 14th. And then on Sunday the 16th, St. Louis won that game 3-1. So 3-0 lead for the Blues. Game 4 is at St. Louis. I think Sabatka signing was huge for them. I really do. He's been a major part of that series.
Yes.
So far.
Yes, he has.
That was a huge addition for the St. Louis Blues in that one. And that signing, although one guy can't make a team, that signing probably, that was a turning point in this series.
Right.
If you really want to put it down to that.
Well, and the other thing, Wayne, as I've said before, St. Louis is a hockey town.
Yep.
When the Cardinals moved, when they went, you got baseball at Busch Stadium, and you got the Blues, and that's it.
Yep.
They have become and the fans support the team.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So in a big way.
Yep.
So win or lose, you got your fans coming to the arena there.
And I'm always fine with St. Louis winning. They've never won a cup, so they've probably been in the league the longest without winning a cup.
Right.
I can't think of another team. I could be wrong, but I can't think of another team that's been in the league longer without winning the cup. Unless Washington came in the same year they did.
No, I think St. Louis was the original expansion, and Washington came in.
Of course, Minnesota's never won a cup either, but they're a modern expansion team. So
right.
And of course, Minnesota fans are they're hockey fans too up there.
Yeah, win or lose, they're going to show up to the arena. That's right. But I just think The Wild have fallen flat in this series. They're not playing.
Well, they're not scoring goals right now.
Yep.
They can't score. So, and they've got to solve that first. I mean, the goaltending has been fine. I mean, they've only given up 7 goals so far in the 3 games. That's
right.
You should be able to overcome that
win a game at least.
But when you've only scored 3 goals in 3 games, your problem is scoring goals. So they got to get that solved in a hurry. So 9:30 tonight. Probably watch that game after. I always like watching elimination games because those have the most intense atmospheres. But we'll be watching that one, or I'll be watching that one probably while I'm editing this podcast. Because I'm going to, obviously when we're done recording, I'm going to put this aside and watch the Bruins, and then when the Bruins game is done, I'll start editing the podcast and putting it out. So I'll have the St. Louis game up while I'm doing that. All right, let's move on to the next series, which is another series that has gone 3-0, but this one's pretty much as expected. Ducks Flames.
Thompson turns away from Monahan. Behind the net, trying to leave it for Raquel. Got it back to Thompson. His backhander missed on the short side. Perry races after it to the far side. Chops it back to Raquel. Right back to Perry. Off the boards. Got it to the net. Elliott. Score! It ricocheted off the netminder. May have hit Thompson. The Ducks have won it in overtime. Just 90 seconds in. And for the first time in franchise history, they win a Stanley Cup playoff game in which they trailed by 3.
The Ducks lead the series 3-0. Game 1 was back on Thursday the 13th. They won that one 3-2. Game 2 also went 3-2 to Anaheim. That was on Saturday the 15th. And then Game 3, Calgary forced the game to overtime, but Anaheim still came out on top, 5-4 in that one. And Calgary's been doing everything they can to try to beat Anaheim. They actually had the lead in the game last night.
Well, and I've heard people blaming that on Brian Elliott. He played very poorly, and I did see him give up a ridiculous goal.
Yeah.
To
and I believe they had a 4-1 lead at one point, wasn't it?
They were at 4-1 in that game and lost.
Yeah.
It's just, and Wayne, this is the second series that I have not seen 1 second of it. I haven't watched this series. I've watched from the sidelines as they talk about the winning streak that the Anaheim Ducks have at the Honda Center against Calgary, and that's getting literally ridiculous. What is it, 20? I can't remember how many games, 23, 24 games in a row they've won.
Yeah.
So, I don't see this Calgary may win the second game in Calgary here, but I don't see this game. This series is not going. If it goes 5 games, that's it. I really think Anaheim is the class right now of the Pacific or the Western Conference. I really do.
They're just scary good right now. They really are.
Yep.
Until they prove otherwise, they're going to be. I mean, Gibson's playing well in net, and assuming that continues, they're going to be a tough team to knock out. But in the next round, assuming the Ducks move on, they're going to have to play the winner of this final series we got to talk about tonight.
That's right.
That's the Oilers Sharks.
Now, going to barge his way in, stood on the line there by Dylan. Here's a turnover, backhander, scores! Zach Kassian makes them pay again. Gets in the lane and buries a backhander, and it's 1-0 Edmonton.
I have been watching this one fairly closely. Good childhood friend of mine is a big Edmonton fan, and him and I have been talking back and forth. And this series is currently tied at 2.
Yeah. And
the first game went to San Jose 3-2 in overtime. Game 2 went to Edmonton 2-0. So that left the series tied 1-1 as the series moved to San Jose. Oilers came out and won Game 3 1-0, and then Game 4 was last night, and that was a 7-0 blowout.
Yeah, a shellacking.
Yeah,
I watched that game.
Yep.
Just an ass whooping.
Yep. And once Edmonton, I saw it go. Once Edmonton gave up that 4th goal, That's when their discipline fell apart. That's when everything the wheels came off the bus, so to speak, for Edmonton.
Yeah.
That's when, at 3-0, they were still playing like they still had a shot at coming back. But once it went 4-0, the wheels came off. They got undisciplined, took some bad penalties. They ended up pulling the goalie after the 5th goal. And, the bad night turned worse for the Edmonton Oilers. And that's just a sign of a young team right there. The young teams tend to lay an egg like this during a big series like this. From one game or another. So I just chalked that game up as to just a young team, inexperienced in the playoffs, come out, lay an egg, but it could turn worse if they don't, get things back together, because now we've got essentially a 3-game series out there. And Game 5 is in Edmonton, Game 6 is going to be in San Jose, and Game 7 is in Edmonton. So Edmonton still holds the home ice advantage, but they've got to execute. So.
Yep.
So let's hope that Edmonton's goalie can bounce back from that shellacking.
Yes.
That'll be a big test for Talbot and whether or not he can come back from that. But
Cam Talbot.
Yep. So, but that series has been fun to watch. It's been very offensive. Of course, San Jose, their offense dried up there a little bit, but for a couple of games, because they only scored in the first 3 games. They had only scored 3 goals, and they all came in Game 1.
Right.
But last night the floodgates opened, and it'll be interesting to watch Game 5. Game 5 is Thursday night. Of course, it's in Edmonton, so it's not going to start till 10:30 at night. But it's going to be a barn burner, so to speak.
That will be a good game.
Okay, and as we move on to the other stories that we've got to talk about, I'll give you a little score update. It is now 1-0 Washington early in the first.
Wow.
In the Washington-Toronto game.
Yeah,
and they almost scored a second. Backstrom had a breakaway, but shot it wide. So.
Wow.
All right, let's move on to transactions. They're slowing down. The college and junior signings are slowing down. Just run down through them real quickly. In this first one, I'm going to butcher the name. It's a Swedish player, Jans Luki. I could have gotten it right, could have gotten it wrong. Anyway, he was playing in Finland and has now signed with the Arizona Coyotes. Juna Koppinen, I might have butchered that name too.
Yeah.
Out of Finland, signed with the Boston Bruins. And I believe he reported to Providence. Chaz Redekop out of Victoria Royals has signed with the LA Kings. Hunter Miska, goaltender, out of Minnesota Duluth, signed with the Arizona Coyotes. Alex Iafalo, a forward, also out of the University of Minnesota Duluth, signed with the Kings. And Giovanni Fiore, forward, out of Cape Breton Screaming Eagles, signed with the Anaheim Ducks. And that's all I have for transactions for the week, unless you have any.
That is all. The one thing we did not report, I think, last week was the I don't know if it would go in this segment or not, though, was the firing of Daryl Sutter.
Oh yeah, we didn't. Yeah, that would
Kings.
It would fall under this category. Yeah, they fired the whole damn front office of the Kings.
They did. They got rid of.
They got rid of the general manager, the coach.
Luke Robitaille's the president over there now.
Yep.
And they got rid of Lombardi.
Yep.
Dean Lombardi.
Yep.
Who was the general manager.
Yep.
And Daryl Sutter.
They're cleaning house over there.
Yeah.
So the Kings are going quickly. That's usually a sign they're heading for a rebuilding mode.
Yep.
Because I don't think the cupboards are very full over there in L.A. I could be wrong, but I haven't heard of a lot of big-name prospects coming out of L.A.
No.
So I think the Kings are headed for a few years of, kind of like what Edmonton and Toronto and Carolina have been enduring for the past several years. I think the Kings are heading in that direction.
Yep. Unless they bring in some ace of a coach they bring in a Mike Babcock type guy who changes the whole scene and brings them back, because they got the players.
Yep. Well, they're not going to get Gerard Gallant. He's going to be Las Vegas's first coach.
Isn't that great too? I was glad to hear that.
Yep.
Yeah. So but I did want to bring that one up, and
I did see that, and I didn't note it, and I forgot it. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to injuries, and I've got 4 this week. First one is Toronto Maple Leafs defenseman Roman Polak will have surgery on his right leg on Tuesday. The exact injury has not been disclosed, and a timetable for his recovery has not been announced. Polak was injured on a second period of Game 2 in the Eastern Conference first round against the Washington Capitals back on Saturday when he collided with Capitals defenseman Brooks Orpik. The Maple Leafs announced after the game that Polak would be out for the remainder of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Polak's right knee made contact with Orpik's right knee, causing him to spin as he fell to the ice. As Polak landed on the ice, his right knee twisted awkwardly, and his full weight came down on his right ankle. Polak stayed down for several minutes before being helped off the ice by teammates and members of the Maple Leafs training staff. In 75 regular season games, Polak had 11 points, a plus 10 rating, and 65 penalty minutes, averaging 17.55 per game. He played 23 minutes and 52 seconds in Game 1 against the Capitals. Of course, that game went to overtime, so hence the elevated. But, it's a big loss for Toronto there. He's one of their top 4, so to lose him for the remainder of the season. But I did see that hit, and, it was a knee on knee. It was ugly. So
Yeah.
And score update, Washington just scored another goal.
Wow.
So it is now
2-0.
2-0.
They may have lit fire tonight.
Every time I look up at the TV, the play is in the Toronto end. So
Yeah.
So I think at least initially we're headed for a Washington win here. All right, let's move on. Speaking of Washington, Washington Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner will miss his second straight game with an upper body injury when they play the Leafs in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference first round at Air Canada Centre on Wednesday. That's going on right now, actually. Oh, now Toronto just scored. Wow. Alzner did not participate in the optional practice Tuesday and has not been on the ice since a 4-3 double overtime loss to the Leafs in Game 2 at Verizon Center on Saturday. And he is, in fact, missing this game. And the third injury I have, the status of Bruins' 4 injured defensemen. It's actually not an injury, but more injuries. The status of the 4 injured defensemen hasn't changed much. Colin Miller, out since sustaining lower body injury in Game 1, was the only one to participate in practice, and Cassidy said he's the closest in returning the lineup. In fact, Cassidy also said just a couple of hours ago that Miller will play tonight. Brandon Carlo, who has an upper body injury, skated on his own before practice and is doubtful for Game 4. Torrey Krug, who has a lower body injury, and Adam McQuaid, who has an upper body injury, are still not skating. So looks like, man, I hope they can get those guys back before they get knocked out of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be
really
big difference for Boston.
It's going to be disappointing if the Bruins get knocked out before these guys back, because we're going to be left thinking, what could have they done if they would have stayed healthy, if they would have had a healthy defenseman, because a lot of people were talking that the Bruins were going to be a dangerous team in the playoffs this year, especially now that they got McAvoy on the team. Yep. All right, and the final injury, Columbus Blue Jackets rookie defenseman Zach Werenski will miss the rest.
Who is a great player, by the way.
Yep, he's going to be. He's only 19.
Yep.
He's going to miss the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs after he cracked his right cheekbone in Game 3 in the Eastern Conference Final first round series against the Pittsburgh Penguins on Sunday. Werenski was injured with a 6:45 left in the second period when he was struck under his shield by a shot from Penguins forward Phil Kessel. Werenski immediately went down, was bleeding from his face, and went to the locker room. He returned for the third period with a full face shield, but his eye had swollen so much that he couldn't see and was unable to play in overtime. The Penguins won the game 5-4 to take a 3-0 lead in the best-of-7 series. It makes you sick because you see him try to come back out and his eyes swollen up between the third and overtime, and you know he wants to come back out. And what guy comes back out in that situation? Blue Jackets captain Nick Foligno said, "I said to him, I'm proud to be your teammate. He's a kid who exemplifies what we're trying to build here, and it's really impressive from a young guy. There's lots of respect for that kid around the room. Always has been. He's such a big part of the team, and it's hard not to have him out there." And here's the other thing I wanted to rant about tonight. NHL players, they've got a long-standing history or long-standing tradition of being, quote-unquote tough guys. And he alluded to it, Foligno alluded to it in here, where he's toughing it out. He got hurt. And I don't know if you saw the pictures. I saw it. He had a huge gash across his cheek, and his eye was swollen shut. And that was basically at the end of the game when they took that picture.
Wayne, I actually last night saw a fan who had a Zach Werenski T-shirt, where on the front of the T-shirt was his face, or the whole front of his T-shirt was the face, and the black mark under his eye with a cotton
sticking out of his nose.
ball up his nose, or maybe it was ammonia, cracked and put up his nose, and the blood, the whole face was was all the way down the guy's T-shirt was a Zach Werenski T-shirt. It was so cool, and I felt bad for him, but that the fans support him. That's my point.
Yep.
That was a neat way of doing it.
Well, my rant about this is, my point anyway, is this injury was absolutely preventable.
Yeah.
With the speed of the game today, the shots, of course, these sticks that they use today, because of the way they bend and almost whip when they shoot,
yeah.
The pucks are traveling so fast, the players are skating so fast, the play is happening so fast. I think the time is coming, and they've already gotten halfway there. They required half shields for every player now coming into the league. I think the time is coming that they go to full face protection.
Yeah.
And I know the players don't want to do it because it affects their vision. They can't see as well. They fight it tooth and nail. They want to be the tough guy. But now, and I know Columbus Blue Jackets fans would agree with me, now they've lost this great kid who's going to be a great player. He already is, but he's going to be even better. He's only 19 for the rest of the playoffs, all because he had no protection for his face. Every other body part is protected. They've got from head to toe, they're fully protected. No one bats an eye at that.
Yeah.
Why don't these guys put face protection on? I don't get it. College has full face shields, and they have for years, and there's no sign of them getting rid of it. If he'd have had a cage, or he doesn't even have to have a cage, you can have one of the iTechs, the plastic, where you're looking through full face visor
with the holes for the mouth and the nose, so it doesn't fog up. That completely, plexiglass or whatever you want to call it.
That shot would have hit him in the cage, and he'd have continued playing, and he'd be back out there today. Now, the Blue Jackets have lost him. He's gone for the rest of the playoffs. Not that they're going to go anywhere. I mean, they're down 3-0 in the series, or 3-1 now, and you're probably not going to get by Pittsburgh anyway. But point being is this was a preventable injury, bottom line. But the NHL players, tough guy, macho, whatever you want to call it, attitude towards face shields is costing this kid, not only all the pain and everything to go with it, which sucks. I mean, you got the same thing happened to Couture out in San Jose.
Oh God, yeah,
he's got to have his mouth rebuilt after the end of the season.
That's right.
Because of getting hit in the mouth with I don't know I can't remember if it was a stick or a puck. I think it was a shot.
It was a puck, and he took it full tilt. It was a screaming slap shot.
Yep.
And as soon as it hit him, he was.
And he was out for several games.
Yep.
And he's back. He's wearing a full shield now because he's still hurt, but he's playing well enough to be able to help the team. But I think it's time they look at full face protection. I really do.
Yep.
Because to have an injury like this that's totally preventable at the most important time of the year during the playoffs, why, other than their need to be a tough guy and need to be, macho, and, the tradition is, back in the day, they didn't wear helmets. They didn't wear face protection. Goalies didn't wear helmets, face protection. You know what? Times change.
Yep.
The game is different now. It's much faster.
Yep.
The puck is moving much faster. I don't know.
Yep.
They're doing everything they can to prevent and punish concussions. Why don't they do something about the guys getting hit in the face?
Yep, I agree with you, Wayne.
So
I agree with you.
I feel bad for Columbus fans because they're missing out, on this kid. But now, we can add this injury to the long list of injuries that have happened where players have missed time just because they didn't have any protection for their face. It doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to milestones, records, honors. Of course, it looks like they're not doing any players of the week anymore because I didn't see any this week. But there were a couple of things I wanted to note. 4 Stanley Cup playoff games were decided in overtime on Monday, something that hadn't happened since April 10th, 1985, according to the Elias Sports Bureau. The Toronto Maple Leafs, Ottawa Senators, Nashville Predators, and Anaheim Ducks all won in overtime in the only 4 games of the schedule. It's the third time in NHL history that 4 playoff games went to overtime on the same day. First time was back on April 11, 1980. On April 10, 1985, 8 games, all game 1 of Division semifinal series, were played, and Philadelphia Flyers defeated the Rangers. The Capitals defeated the Islanders. The Oilers defeated the Kings, and the Jets defeated the Calgary Flames in overtime. So just an interesting statistical note there.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Strader, who is calling games again after missing time while fighting cancer earlier this season, has been named the winner of the Foster Hewitt Memorial Award for outstanding contributions as a hockey broadcaster. Strader was diagnosed with bile duct cancer in May, but returned as television play-by-play announcer for the Dallas Stars and NBC Sports in February. His 38-year career began in 1979 with the Adirondack Red Wings of the American Hockey League. He's also worked for the Detroit Red Wings, Florida Panthers, and Arizona Coyotes, as well as ESPN, ABC, and NBC. It was also announced that longtime hockey writer Cam Cole has been named the winner of the Elmer Ferguson Award for excellence in hockey journalism. Cole retired in 2016 after a 41-year career that saw him cover the Edmonton Oilers dynasty as a columnist of the Edmonton Journal, as well as work for the National Post in Toronto and Vancouver Sun. He covered more than 30 Stanley Cup Final Series and 16 Olympics. Strader and Cole will be recognized at the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto as media honorees. They will be honored during the 2017 Hockey Hall of Fame induction on the weekend of November 10th through 13th. So kudos to two very long-time members of the press.
Yes, Dave Strader, God bless him for going through this, and continued prayers for his recovery. Yep.
All right, suspensions. Now, before, when I wrote my show notes, I didn't have any, but last night's action gave us a possible suspension. We don't have a definite suspension yet, but more than likely, Edmonton Oilers forward Leon Draisaitl will have a hearing with the NHL Department of Player Safety on Wednesday, which should have happened today, but they haven't announced anything yet, for spearing San Jose Sharks forward Chris Tierney. The incident occurred at 13:44 of the second period in Game 4 of the Western Conference first round at the SAP Center on Tuesday. Draisaitl received a 5-minute major for spearing and a game misconduct, and the Sharks defeated the Oilers 7-0. And I saw the play. It basically drew comparisons to what Brad Marchand did right at the tail end of the regular season, spearing a player right in the nads.
Now, was he provoked?
Yes and no. I think
words as provocation.
He definitely deserves a suspension, and I don't know what his history is, and that will determine the length of the suspension. Probably will end up being 1 game if he's got no history. Could be 2 or more if he's got history. I think this was not so much out of provocation, but more out of frustration.
Yeah.
The Oilers were down either 4 or 5-0 at the time. Can't remember exactly when it was when this happened. But it wasn't Marchand's was a reaction to being cross-checked. Like, he got cross-checked and almost immediately.
Yeah, I'm going to get you back. Provoked into doing it.
Right. And Marchand, I don't think was aiming for that area. He just wanted to spear the guy. He wanted to probably spear him in the leg or the gut or something like that, but ended up getting him,
in the berries.
Right in the berries. Draisaitl is a different story. When he went to go spear the guy, he looked right at him and right there, right in the berries.
Yep, right.
Like, he aimed for that spot.
Yep.
So obviously a dirty play, and he will probably get suspended, but we'll see.
A very important player for Edmonton. He's in the top 10 in points in the NHL. So losing Leon Draisaitl, very stupid to do that kind of a move, and they may make an example of him.
Yep.
Kick him out of the rest of the series. I
don't see them suspending him for that long, but unless he's got a long history. I don't know that part. All right, well, let's move on to some of the other interesting stories that gone around the league, and I actually only have one this week. The National Hockey League on Tuesday announced that the 2017 NHL Awards returned to Las Vegas to celebrate the league's top talent from the 16-17 season on Wednesday, June 21st at the T-Mobile Arena. Now, there's something very important also happening on the 21st. And in addition to that, it was also announced that the NHL Expansion Draft, a special event revealing the initial roster of the league's 31st team, the Vegas Golden Knights, will be incorporated into the awards ceremony.
Wow.
That is going to be televised live in the U.S. on NBC Sports Network and in Canada on Sportsnet at 7:30 that night. The awards will showcase hockey and Hollywood's biggest stars with the excitement and energy that only Las Vegas can provide. Doesn't that sound like marketing talk? As part of the program, the Golden Knights' 30 selections in the NHL expansion draft will be revealed providing the home fans and national viewing audience the opportunity to learn the initial composition of the team's roster. The show will highlight team majority owner Bill Foley, general manager George McPhee, head coach Gerard Gallant, as well as select players chosen by the Golden Knights who begin play in 2017-18. I hope they have their jerseys by then.
Yeah.
They probably.
I hope
they
so
probably,
too. They say it's going to come out in June sometime, Wayne.
They probably will have the jerseys by then.
I think they will have them. Yep.
Yep. The NHL Awards, again, will honor the top individual regular season performances in a wide range of categories, including most valuable player, outstanding goaltender, the most valuable player, which is the Hart Trophy, outstanding goaltender, which is the Vezina, outstanding defenseman, which is a Norris, and outstanding rookie, which is the Calder. Ted Lindsay Award, which is presented annually to the most outstanding player in the NHL, is voted by the members of the National Hockey League Players Association, will also be awarded. Now, with that in mind, let's skip to our own NHL awards predictions.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and we'll each give for each of these awards who we think is going to win the award.
That is very good, Wayne. Perfect segue into this part of the show.
And you happen to look up what we did. We did one of our early shows.
Podcast 9.
Yep, podcast number 9. We gave our personal, this was before the season started, our
That's right.
personal prediction on who would win all of the individual awards. And you'll give us those as we went along.
Yes,
or
sir.
as we go along. There's something else I was going to say and I forgot. Okay. Anyway, let's move on to let's start with the Hart Trophy.
Okay.
Now, who did we choose back in October?
Okay. That was podcast 9. I chose Steven Stamkos from the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Wow.
And you chose Jamie Benn from the Dallas Stars.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well, both players kind of had off seasons.
Yep. That's
say
right.
The least. So we were way off.
Yep.
Well, this time around, after having watched the season, I'm going to predict that Connor McDavid is going to win the Hart Trophy this year.
Yes, sir.
And who do you think is going to win?
I picked Sidney Crosby.
Crosby. That's not a bad choice.
Pick Sidney Crosby. He's had a great season, and I just think that I think he may win it. So I think he's won it once before, maybe twice.
Yeah, I know at least once. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I picked Sidney Crosby.
Well, good. Well, and I saw an article earlier, and that was the other thing I was going to say. I saw an earlier article last night that listed and I think it was the extension of this article, that the NHL is going to announce the finalists each day starting today. And at the time of us hitting the record button, they hadn't announced today's yet. They're going to do a different award each day and announce the finalists for the award.
Oh, okay.
So as of right now, they were supposed to do one today, but they hadn't announced it yet, which is good because I didn't want any spoilers. But they will be announcing the finalists. And I can't remember which trophy was being announced today. It wasn't the Hart. It was one of the Selke Trophy was supposed to be announced today.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's move on to the Lady Byng Trophy.
Okay.
Who did we pick back in October?
There was actually no pick on that particular trophy.
Okay.
So you're free to
pick anybody I want now.
free to
Okay.
go. Yeah.
All right, well, this time around, I am going to pick Brad Marchand. I don't think he'll ever win that trophy.
No, although they may come close in the vote.
I don't think when you think of the Lady Byng Trophy, and of course, we're laughing because it's a sportsmanship award, and it generally goes to somebody who has, usually less than 20 penalty minutes in the season, but still produces at a high level. Brad Marchand will never play a season where he has less than 20 minutes in penalty minutes unless he plays less than 10 games. So
that's
right.
right.
I just had to say that to get a laugh.
I agree. I picked Steve Ott.
No, my real pick. No. Yeah, right. Steve Ott. I don't think that's going to happen either. My real pick, though, I went with Vladimir Tarasenko.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
He only had 12 penalty minutes in the regular season, and he produced 75 points. So I bet he'll be, for sure, at least a finalist, but I think he's going to win it.
Yeah, that's good. I picked Nicholas Backstrom.
Yep, he also had. Capitals. Yep, he's also a very low penalty minute guy for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
And he had 89 points, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep.
So.
All right. Well, let's go ahead to the Vezina Trophy.
Okay. You want to hear podcast 9?
Yep.
Podcast 9, I picked Henrik Lundqvist, and I was blinded by my allegiance to the guy, my favorite player. But he had a good year, but had some problems. So I was wrong there.
Yep.
And you picked Braden Holtby. He will definitely be a finalist. Braden Holtby will be a finalist.
Yep. I'm sure he will.
Yep.
All right. Well, this year, or at the end of the season, obviously, I'm changing my pick. I went with Sergei Bobrovsky.
Odds-on favorite to win it, I'd have to say.
He's had an amazing year. He really has. Yep. And I think if I remember right, when we were talking back in the fall, Bobrovsky's name did come up as a possibility.
Yep. We talked about it, but we talked about the confidence issues with him. He put those to rest this year.
For sure. Yep.
I will say that my pick here may shock you.
Okay.
But he is in the stats. He's up in the stats and shutouts and victories. In my gut, I believe it's either going to be Braden Holtby or Sergei Bobrovsky. But I picked Cam Talbot. I picked Cam Talbot because Edmonton has really turned it around.
Yep.
And I also, because in my heart I have a place for Cam Talbot. He was a former Ranger.
Yep.
And he's a good player. So.
Well, and he's a major part of that turnaround. He's had a great
really
season.
Is.
He
Yep.
played over 70 games. So.
Yep.
And
so he probably won't win it. I think he deserves to be a finalist, but he might not be.
Yeah.
But that's who I picked, Cam Talbot.
Not a bad choice. Not a bad choice. All right, let's move on to the Calder Trophy.
Yes, sir.
And who did we pick back in October?
We go back to the podcast 9. I picked Patrick Laine.
Okay. He had a good year.
He did. I would say he's going to finish second. But you picked Austin Matthews.
Yep.
And you stuck with Austin Matthews this time, correct?
Yes, I did. Yep. Austin Matthews is my pick for the Calder.
I'm changing my pick to Austin Matthews because I think he's going to win it. I don't think that this one, I think, it was sewn up in the last month of the season. He scored 40 goals, 4 goals in the first game of the season. The Toronto Maple Leafs are playing, even if they lose tonight and lose this series, they have made believers out of me. And Austin Matthews is going to win the Calder Trophy. I don't think there's any. That one is almost a certainty.
Yep. Ottawa player just stole a stick out of one of the Bruins players. No call. Here we go again. All right, let's get back to the trophies. All right. Next one up is the Norris Trophy.
The Norris. And this is another pretty well foregone conclusion in my mind, although I think there's 2 guys duking it out this year. Podcast 9, I picked Duncan Keith. He won't even be a finalist, I don't think.
No,
I
don't think so.
And you picked PK Subban, and he won't be a finalist this year.
No.
Injuries and whatnot.
Well, the first half of the year, yeah, he had some injuries, and he just wasn't playing that well. But the second half of the year, he's really turned it on, and he's playing very well now. So he could be back in the mix for next season. Yep. But this season, I changed my pick, and I went with Brent Burns because he's had a monster year.
And I agree. Brent Burns is probably going to win it. The only guy who could steal it from him is Erik Karlsson from the Ottawa Senators.
Agreed.
I think it's those 2 players, and Brent Burns is probably going to win it.
Yep. Yeah, I think Brent Burns is better defensively than Karlsson, but Karlsson is he's the modern day Bobby Orr. Erik Karlsson is for sure. All right, let's move on to the Bill Masterton Trophy, which for those who aren't familiar with it, is for perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. And, of course, each team nominated one player a couple of weeks ago. And so we have essentially 30 nominees already for the trophy to choose from. And the one I chose, of course, we didn't do this one back in. You can't really predict that kind of trophy.
That's right.
But this time around, I did choose my boy, Sean Thornton. I was always disappointed when the Bruins had to get rid of him. They didn't have any cap space to keep him, but he ended up going to Florida and has done tons of the charities that he's involved with are amazing. And there was a recent picture, and I made my choices before last week's show, but between me choosing him and now the Boston Marathon was this past weekend. And who's standing at the finish line of the Boston Marathon? Right in the front, applauding all the runners as they go by? Sean Thornton.
Wow.
He made an appearance there and was he just showed up. Of course, he
Yeah.
lives in Boston. He just showed up at the Boston Marathon, stood at the finish line, and was clapping, congratulating all the runners as they came to the finish line.
That's great.
So, great thing for him to do. But it's just one of a million things that he does off the ice to really use his status as a pro player to make the world a slightly better place.
That's good.
So he was my choice.
Very good, Wayne. I picked Henrik Zetterberg of the Detroit Red Wings. In a lot of ways, Wayne, because that team we've seen their decline the last couple of years, and they really were a great team. But they stand as pillars in the community, really, a tough place to live. In Detroit, they've gone through some very difficult times as a city.
Yep.
And I don't know how big, if you took the whole Detroit Red Wings team, of a pillar in the community Henrik Zetterberg is, but I'd wager to bet that he's right up there at the top.
Well, he's the leader of that team, and
he's the leader of the team. He's the leader, and the Red Wings stand for a lot in this in our league.
Yep.
So I picked Henrik Zetterberg, and it might be a sentimental type pick, but I picked him for those reasons.
No, very good choice.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the Ted Lindsay Award.
Yes, sir.
And that is the award that is given to the NHL or the NHL's best players as voted by the players themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we do a choice on that one?
We did not.
We
No,
did not.
there was
Okay.
no Ted Lindsay in Podcast 9.
Okay. So let's go to our choices this week. And I picked Sidney Crosby.
Yes. And I reversed on the heart, and I picked Connor McDavid.
There you go.
So we did a complete about face there.
Yep.
Yeah, Wayne, there was real quick. There were three other awards from Podcast 9.
Okay.
They're already decided.
Oh, the statistical awards, yes.
Right.
Yep.
The Conn Smythe, this is kind of interesting. The Conn Smythe, you picked Martin Jones, who is playing great for San Jose right now.
The Conn Smythe goes to the playoff MVP, so
that's right.
Generally, it goes to a player on the winning team.
That's right.
Yeah.
And since San Jose's still in this, I thought I'd put it down.
Yep.
Martin Jones, and I picked Joe Pavelski. So that's just a little sidelight there.
Okay.
On the Conn Smythe. On the Art Ross,
yep,
I picked Steven Stamkos. That's right. The Art Ross is for the most points.
Most points, yep.
And you picked Tyler Seguin.
Yep.
And Connor McDavid actually ended up winning it with 100 points this year.
And back then we did talk about it, that it was a possibility. I think I remember mentioning that there were a lot of writers around the league that were saying Connor McDavid could win the Art Ross.
That is absolutely correct.
Yep.
Absolutely correct. Honorable mention.
And he did in fact win it. So
he did. Then you have the Rocket Richard Trophy,
which is for most goals.
Most goals. You picked Patrick Kane.
Yep.
He was in the top 10.
Yep.
And I picked Vladimir Tarasenko as well. He was in the top 10.
Yep.
Neither one of those guys won it. It was Sidney Crosby with 44 goals.
Yep.
So.
And going back to the Art Ross, Connor McDavid ended up with an even 100 points.
Yeah, very good. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to interject that. That gets everything out of the way from podcast.
There's another one. There's another one that's based on statistical analysis, and I don't think we picked it back in Podcast 9, but the Jennings Trophy.
Oh,
which
yes.
goes to the team. It goes to the individual goaltenders. It's a goaltender award. It goes to the goaltenders. There could be more than one that ended up. Well, it goes to the team essentially that had the fewest amount of goals allowed in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so they first take the team that had the fewest number of goals allowed, and they award that award to the goaltenders that played at least 25 games in the season for that team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, we didn't pick that back in October, but Braden Holtby, I believe, ended up winning it this year.
Yes.
Because Washington finished with the fewest goals allowed, and Braden Holtby won it. Had he had a backup that played at least 25 games, that person would have won it as well. Mm-hmm. But he was the only goaltender in the Washington system that played at least 25 games, so he alone will be on that trophy. So that's the other statistical award. All right, let's go back to the other awards that get voted, and the next one up is the Jack Adams.
Yes, and I do have some record on Podcast 9 on that, and that's the last one.
Okay.
Podcast 9, Wayne, you picked Todd McClelland of the Edmonton Oilers, and so did I.
Okay.
We both picked Todd McClelland.
Okay. Well, guess who I picked this time around?
Yep.
Todd McClelland.
Todd McClelland, and he very well could win the award.
Yep. And he, of course, he's the Edmonton coach.
I did not pick Todd McClelland.
Okay.
I did not stay with Todd McClelland. I went with Mike Sullivan.
Yeah, okay.
Because he wound up having another great season. Here they are, rolling through the playoffs again.
And they've been ravaged by injuries, and they
have.
Yep, and they're
That's right.
still doing well. So that could definitely be a coach thing. All right. Let's move on. We've got 2 more to do. The Selke Trophy is next, and that goes to the best defensive forward in the league. And I can guarantee you can guess. You may have looked at the show notes, but you know who I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
And that's my boy.
Yeah.
I wear his number in men's league, and I wear his jersey. Actually, I don't have his jersey yet. I just ordered it. But I do wear his number in the beer league team that I play for. And that's my boy, Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah.
I think he deserves it again this year. They better not give it to Jonathan Taves. I'll be pissed if he gets it.
Yeah.
He's a good defensive forward, but this year, Bergeron was far better in my mind. So
this award, I must say, I don't know.
It's a tough
I don't
one.
know if I picked a guy that's even going to come close. I picked Max Pacioretty, and he's played well defensively in the series here against the Rangers, but he may not even be in the top 10 of consideration. So that's I really didn't know who to pick on this award, Wayne.
Yeah,
thought about it, spent some time with it.
Yeah, that one can be a tough one.
Yeah.
So that one was easy for me, but then again, I'm a bit biased. So
yeah.
All right, the final award that we're going to talk about is the King Clancy Trophy, and that goes to the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and has made a noteworthy humanitarian contribution in his community. And again, this is an award that each team nominates one player, and they've already done those nominations, so we essentially have 30 players to choose from. And I went with the hometown boy this time, Jordan Staal, who is Carolina's nominee. And I went with that because, I wanted to, put a spotlight on him in particular and the Carolina Hurricanes for what they do. One of the skyboxes at PNC Arena is set aside for the Staal Family Foundation. And I think this foundation, based on its name, is not just Jordan's foundation, but it's all the Staal brothers that are playing. You've got Mark Staal and Eric, who are playing in the NHL. Younger brother Jared was playing in the AHL for the Charlotte Checkers. I'm not sure. I haven't caught up with him to see what he did this year, but they do have a younger brother that also plays. But in particular, the 3 boys that are playing in the NHL. The Staal Family Foundation they have this skybox set aside, and they bring in a family. They basically invite a family to come to the game that they feel deserves it. Each and every game, they have a different family there, and they get to have the full skybox experience. And they usually put them up on the Jumbotron and everything, give them a little bit of TV screen time. And, I just think it's a great thing that they do. It's a great thing, and it's just one of the things that Jordan Staal does off the ice. And of course, he's one of the leaders of the team. Now he's one of the assistant captains. They don't have a captain at this time, but he is one of the assistants here in Carolina. So, and he does a good job, particularly off the ice. So he was my Clancy nominee.
Very good. I didn't know there were nominees picked from each team on this, so
you didn't.
The guy that I picked may not even be the nominee from the team.
Okay.
So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yep.
I picked Nick Foligno from the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Okay.
For his donations on behalf of his daughter, but on behalf of everyone suffering from cancer, not only to the hospital in Columbus, but also to the Children's Hospital in Boston, where his daughter received surgery. She's now in remission from cancer completely, and he gave $500,000 donation to the University of Boston Children's Hospital, as well as to the Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus. And I just felt his fight against cancer for his little girl and for on behalf of all people children suffering from cancer, is very noteworthy and very touching. And I feel, he exemplifies what's needed as a person who possibly could win the King Clancy Trophy. So.
And I'm looking up real quick, and he's definitely deserving of it. I'm looking up real quick to see if I can find the nominees or the nominee from, and I'm not finding it, so we'll go ahead and move on. So, well, let's hope that he did get nominated for his efforts there. All right, well, that concludes our picks of the NHL individual awards, and let's hope that let's see who ends up winning. We'll be interesting to see. I'll be watching that night for sure.
We'll be revisiting that for sure.
Yep, once they do it. All right, well, let's move on. And we got to talk about the KHL now.
Yes.
Their season is over.
Their season is over.
Yep.
I got a little bit of an article here. I don't know how you want to do this, Wayne.
Go for it. All I wanted to do was talk about the results of the season. So go for it.
I actually want to preface this. This article is very the part that grabbed me. I focused on Magnitogorsk. And the people there in the community and how the KHL players respond to them. You see a league that obviously doesn't have the payroll that they do at the NHL. Players are paid much less there. So pay particular attention to that when I was reading this article, and you may have some thoughts. Okay. The battle is over. The dust has settled, and SKA St. Petersburg defeated Metallurg Magnitogorsk 5-3 in Game 5 to seal a 4-1 victory in the series. Ole Narak's Army men are now the fourth collective team to become two-time Gagarin Cup champions, an honor they share with Akbar's Kazan, Dynamo Moscow, and the vanquished contender Metallurg Magnitogorsk. After the final siren sounded and they had been presented with their silver medals, some of the Magnitogorsk players shared their thoughts on their brave, hard-fought, but ultimately unsuccessful attempt to retain the Gagarin Cup. Dani Zarapov, who has won 4 Gagarin Cups, including 2 as a member of Magnitogorsk, said, "It's a game. It's hockey. We all dream, of course, and we should strive to make those dreams come true. But you don't always achieve the results you wanted. We need to look at our performance, draw the right conclusions, and prepare ourselves even harder for the start of next season and for the entire championship. The current team can proudly hold their heads high, look at one another straight in the eye, and thank each of their comrades," and that's how he called his teammates, comrades, "for the performances this season." Metallurg goaltender and MVP of the 2016-17 playoffs, Vasily Koshechkin, said, "I think we battled well throughout the series. We won the Eastern Conference, reached the Gagarin Cup final, and gave our all. Sadly, fortune was against us and we lost. SKA played as a team, and like us, they had a good series. Thank you to all the fans for getting behind us. It was a real pleasure to play in front of such support." Finally, noticeably, I'll interject here, Sergei Mozyakin was not interviewed for this article. Finally, Magnitogorsk forward Vladislav Kolechnik said, "We had a good playoff campaign. We had no trouble in the first, second, and third rounds. We were playing well and were very disciplined in defense, but things didn't go our way in the final. I would like to thank our fans especially. I think they are the best in the league, and we wouldn't have reached this level without them. They gave us such great support, which we were playing when we were playing at home. They were like a sixth skater." So I just thought that there's a city over there in Russia that's built to make steel for the whole country.
Yep.
And you got fans there that are steadfastly loyal to that team, and these players know it. And my hat's off to them. I really was touched reading this article. There's so many similarities between the athletes who don't earn nearly as much over there in that country and the loyalty of their fans to their players. So thank you.
Yep, and they're a passionate fan base too. But
Very
yeah,
passionate.
And they've had a good run too. They won the last 2 Gagarin Cups, and then they lost in the final this year. So
that's right.
So yeah, they've had a pretty good team, and of course Sergei Mozyakin is their best player. Yeah, my only observation of the final is I was able to watch a good chunk of the last two games anyway. Basically what the KHL did on YouTube, they were streaming live the Gagarin Cup final games, but it wasn't the traditional broadcast viewing angle that you and I know, the high up looking down on the ice following the play. They had essentially had 3 3D cameras set up. One was set up in each zone at about where the face-off dots are, and the third one was set up right at center ice. Yeah. And they would switch back and forth between the 3 3D cameras. But what the cool part is you could control them. So you would just click and drag, and you could move the camera side to side to follow the play.
That's really something.
So, because they were essentially 3D cameras, and they made it look like if you turn too far in one direction, they made it look like you were sitting inside of a skybox watching the game. It was kind of cool. So I essentially watched. Of course, I watched it with no sound because everything's in Russian, so I didn't understand a word they were saying anyway. So I watched with no sound. But it was kind of interesting to watch those games live on YouTube using the 3D cameras that they were streaming live. And
that is really cool.
And the cool part is, because of the games being played in Russia, I could watch them in the morning while I was while I was drinking my morning whatever. And the other thing I noticed, and there's a picture on the KHL website, and I actually have it up. If you're watching the live stream or watch it after the fact, there's a picture up. They had the Gagarin Cup on display, right at center ice, just on the other side of the glass. They had it on display for all the players to see the whole time during the final. Yeah, and the cup was guarded by 2 guards, one on either side, just standing there, just standing there, very stoic, very rigid, very guarding the cup while it sat there on display. So I thought that was neat. I'd like to see the NHL do something like that. Of course, it would cost them a couple of seats, but a couple of very expensive seats, by the way. But that would be kind of neat to see the Stanley Cup be put on display during the Stanley Cup final while the games are going on.
It is a beautiful trophy too, I will say. Gorgeous, gold and silver.
Yep.
The Gagarin Cup is a beautiful trophy.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous trophy. And it's about the same height as the Stanley Cup.
Yes, it is.
And judging by the way the players were lifting it, it appears to be heavier than the Stanley Cup, because the players didn't lift it as easily as they do the Stanley Cup. They had to, they had to bring it up. They had to, it looked like there was a little bit more effort in hoisting it. But I watched, and one
more champagne too.
Right. Yeah, it is a bigger cup. But overall, the height of it is roughly the same size as the Stanley Cup. But one of the things I also noticed with the celebration after the fact is, in the NHL, when they win, they're out there. The celebration on the ice goes on, probably an hour or so. All the family comes down and everybody's taking pictures, after every player gets to hoist it, and then they do the team photo. Then they set the cup on the ice, and then individually all the players will go in, and you'll see different groups taking pictures with the Stanley Cup on the ice. You'll see whole families getting together for a picture. You'll see guys that play for the same country internationally get together for a group photo. So you see the Stanley Cup stays out there for quite some time after the game for all those photos to get taken, right? The Gagarin Cup, it seemed like they were rushing through all of that. They did the whole every player lifts it. They did the whole, but they were doing the team photo before all the players had finished lifting it. And then, within 15 minutes of the cup going to the players, everybody was leaving the ice and going in the locker room. I mean, it was very quick. Yeah. So that was one of the other things I noticed. So, wow. But yeah, the Russian league is over. So we will have to find something else to talk about at the end of the show. Well, I think we talked about it briefly at some point earlier in the season. As I said, I'd like to transition it to, instead of the KHL minute, make it the minor league minute. Yep. So we put the spotlight on some of the other minor leagues going on around the world. But with that, let's move on to our picks of the week.
Yes, sir.
And I want to talk about Dart Guy.
Go ahead.
When I saw this picture, when I saw this picture of this guy, and if you haven't seen Dart Guy yet, just Google Toronto Maple Leafs dart guy. This guy's hilarious. He's a fan. He first made his TV appearance at Game 2, and that was in Washington. This is a Toronto guy, Toronto native, who flew down to Washington for the game, probably got the tickets for a lot less than he could have in Toronto, but flew down to Washington for the game. He's there at the game. Just picture this guy. He's a big, heavy-set guy. His face is painted white, totally white, but in the middle of his face, in his forehead, and covering his eyes and mouth, is a blue maple leaf on top of the white, right? He's got a big beard. The beard is painted maple leaf blue. And then out of his mouth, he's got an unlit cigarette hanging out of his mouth the whole game, which dart is slang for cigarette, apparently.
That's right.
So he got named Dart Guy, and his photo went viral, and it became he became such a hit in Toronto that the Maple Leafs invited him to games 3 and 4. So he went to both games to appear. And just last night, I saw a photo come out where Austin Matthews, of course, Dart Guy's wearing a Austin Matthews jersey, right? Austin Matthews' parents sought him out to get a photograph with him.
That's how I saw him, that picture.
And there's a photograph. Well, the original photo shows him, with the cigarette hanging out of his mouth. And so there's a picture now floating around of Austin Matthews' parents who actually sought him out to get a photograph with him. It's hilarious. It's just one in a million Toronto fans. They're all the same.
The crazy love those people have for their team.
Oh, and on top of the facial paint and the blue beard, on the back of his head, going around the back of his head, it says "Go Leafs, go."
Yeah.
And I believe it's hair. The hair is shaved, but "Go Leafs, go." There's still hair. The rest of him is bald. On the top of his head, he has a mohawk, but it's shaved in the shape of the Stanley Cup. So if he were to put his head down and show his head to you, you would see the Stanley Cup. The guy's hilarious. So he's a native of where does it say? Waterloo, Ontario, of course. Big Leafs fan. His name's Jason Moskalo. Oh, Moslako. Sorry, Jason Moslako. And hilarious. But of course, there's hundreds and thousands of fans just like him. But he got his claim to fame, and he's doing press interviews and everything else. So, but yeah, he was such a good luck charm that the Leafs invited him to Game 3, and of course the Leafs won that, so they invited him to Game 4. But it doesn't look like the Leafs are going to win that game because they're behind 4-1 right now. The last score update I saw. So,
oh man.
So yeah, that's Dart Guy. If you haven't seen his picture, look it up.
Yeah. Very good, Wayne. That was a good one. Thank you very much for that. Mine is, and I know I speak for you on behalf of this. We've touched on her for a couple of episodes, and this one I just wanted to once again to all of the people out there that are hockey fans to remember this lady, Dena Lang.
Yes.
She had a great week this week. She competed in the Boston Marathon with the help of
Bobby Carpenter.
Bobby Carpenter.
Former Boston Bruins.
Played for the Bruins. Yep. Played with the Rangers, too. Won the Stanley Cup with the New Jersey Devils. But he and her teamed up to compete in the Boston Marathon. And the article's titled, you can find it on NHL.com. It's titled, Dena Lang Has an Incredible Time at Boston Marathon. The last mile was like a hug. The cheers and love and support overwhelming. It had been like that the rest of the race, too, starting a couple of miles in when Bobby Carpenter and Dena Lang had been shocked to see 90% of the field of elite runners acknowledging them on the course of the 2017 Boston Marathon, as Carpenter recalled. That last mile was really, really cool, Lang said. It just got so loud so quickly. I felt like I was doing a pretty good job of recognizing all my friends along the course, but at the end there, I just didn't have much of a shot. Carpenter, a former NHL player, and Lang had decided last summer to team up to run the marathon, which Carpenter pushing Lang in a wheelchair for 26.2 miles from Hopkinton to Boston in an effort to support the organization journey forward the organization and rehab facility that has been instrumental in Lang's recovery from a spinal cord injury sustained on December 31st, 2015 at the Outdoor Women's Classic, part of the 2016 Bridgestone NHL Winter Classic at Gillette Stadium. As of the finish of the race, the pair had exceeded their original goal of $53,000, with more than $81,000 raised. It was incredible, Lang said at a post-event gathering at Grill 23 and Bar. It was definitely everything everyone said it was going to be and more. It honestly felt like everyone knew our names. The crowd was just incredible. I felt like everyone was talking straight at me or waving straight to me. I've never said hi to that many people in my lifetime. The pair completed the race in 4 hours, 32 minutes, and 30 seconds. Not much more than it took Carpenter to finish the Boston Marathon last year in approximately 4 hours, which is really something. Actually, that's really doing very well. They ran the race well. They took their time. They wanted to enjoy it. They wanted to do it right. And at the end, each was delighted with the way it had gone, with the race they ran, with the reception they got, and most gratifyingly, with the money they had raised, because that was the most important part of the goal, to have money for Journey Forward, a place that has meant so much to Lang since the injury. It's tough to put it all into words how incredible it is, Lang said. I just can't believe that so many people turned out to support us and turned out to support Journey Forward. I couldn't be more thankful. So, again, on behalf of her, our prayers go out to her and her family, but I'm encouraged each day when I see how strong she is.
Yes.
And what she's doing.
Yep.
It's just tremendous. And so, probably nobody listening, but if anybody does, keep encouraging her. She's doing great.
Yep, she's doing very good, and hopefully someday they can figure out a cure for paralysis, and that would be huge for a lot of people out there.
Absolutely.
And I think someday it will happen. It's just the technology's got to advance itself to the point where we can overcome those types of injuries. So, all right. Well, I think we're done. Finally,
I think we finished.
Yeah.
Did.
So, but before we go, I want to give a shout out to Adam Frechette. He's a childhood friend of mine. He's that Oilers fan that I referred to back in the earlier. He's been watching the show tonight and been commenting, and I just noticed that he's been commenting. So, shout out to Adam if you're still watching. Thanks for watching, and good luck to your Oilers, buddy.
Oh, yeah, very good.
So he was one of my best friends growing up. So I think he is still watching. He just gave a like. So.
All right.
So all right. Well, let's go ahead and end the show, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. And next week, obviously, we will record probably on Wednesday, but I want to put a rain date in there because if Boston ends up in a Game 7 with Ottawa, there's a possibility of 3 Game 7s that night. Actually, next Wednesday. We maybe a better idea to postpone it until Thursday night so that we can talk about all 8 series in their finality.
Yes.
So we will play it by ear. We'll tentatively schedule Wednesday, but if we have some Game 7s, we may postpone to Thursday night. That way, Thursday it'll be a bunch of Game 1s in the next round. So we'll play it by ear on that one. So with that. Very good. Let's go ahead and remind everybody again that where you can find us. We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Player.fm, Google Play Music, and, of course, any other Android or Apple app that you use to round up all your podcasts. You can find us on our website at thehockeynuts.com. You can also listen to us on the hockeywriters.com website under their podcast channel. And if you want to support the show, the best way to do it is to share the show with every hockey fan that you know. And if you have the iTunes app on your computer device, you can subscribe, rate and review, all that stuff. You can like, comment, and share our content wherever you find us. Get involved with the show, like my friend Adam, who got involved, but of course I wasn't paying attention to the comments. but he's getting involved anyway. He's a big hockey fan. I know that for sure. And, we love to get emails, tweets, all that stuff. Get involved with the show. And financially, if you want to support us, we have affiliate links on our website at thehockeynuts.com. It's real easy to use. Just simply click on the link, and then any purchases you make right after that will go, part of the money will go to us to help us pay for this little shindig that we're running here. So, and of course, the affiliate links we have are for Amazon and hockeymonkey.com for those of you that play hockey or have family that plays hockey. And I know Hockey Monkey's having some end-of-season sales right now, so if you are involved in hockey, either yourself or children or anything like that, they always have an end-of-season sale. You can get some pretty good deals on some hockey equipment over there, so I encourage you to go check them out. And with that, I think that's everything.
I think we got it wrapped up, Wayne.
Yep. So as always, you can get in touch with us. I'm at Wayne Halley 9 on Twitter. Steve is at sball504man. You can email us at feedback@thehockeynuts.com. You can reach us at our Facebook at facebook.com/thehockeynuts. And our YouTube channel is at thehockeynuts.com/YouTube. So until next week, we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and we will talk to you then. Have a good week, Steve. Yep, you too.